Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Today, I want you just to think about a few questions to start off our day with. Um, I want you to think about maybe something not necessarily today that's made you think hard, but maybe in the last couple of weeks that has made you think truly hard. So just give yourself a moment for that one quick. Then I want you to think about what you're going to do to challenge yourself today and then in the upcoming weeks. And I want you to think about how you will solve this problem, if there's steps that you're going to have to take to solve this problem, and so on. All right. These three questions you can use with your students to truly develop a growth mindset in them. Oftentimes we talk about this growth mindset in education because we want our students to have a growth mindset rather than just be complacent with what they're doing every day. And I want to challenge you also to have a growth mindset going forward. There's a page here that I just popped up. It's called 10 What Questions to Develop a Growth Mindset in Children. And this is just a tool that you can pack away to help your students. And students who have exceptional needs, whether they be small needs or large needs, all need to be pushed to have this growth mindset. We're going to talk a little bit about the gifted and talented population. Oftentimes, right, we talk about these acronyms that are given to different disabilities, etc. So you may have heard of it as a GT group or the GATE group. This group is also included in that exceptional students population that you will potentially serve in the future. This quote is fantastic right now for what's going on in the world and just in general when you're looking in your classroom in the future, you're going to need those people who are helpers. And those helpers are oftentimes the students who have the knowledge that you're already presenting. And those are the kids that you can provide certain jobs with in the classroom to assist others that maybe they're not quite where you want them to be. But this gifted and talented population truly needs to feel like they are pushed and they are part of the leadership. All right, some questions for you to think about. Do you love to learn? Enjoy watching kids jump up and down after they've solved a really hard problem, or maybe even yourself? Do you understand that a student with a high IQ will often forget their lunchbox like anyone else? Do you mind having to rearrange lesson plans at the flip of a hat? Do you mind sitting and talking with a student while I talk about a book they read? Maybe it's sci-fi. Maybe those of you that are reading this are like, hey, Professor Jewel, Jamie, I love sci-fi. I personally don't, but that's okay. Would you mind if you had a student sit and tell you the story verbatim for 30 minutes plus straight? Would you sit there and listen? Or do you know a child that might know more about a subject than you and questions you on your facts? If you could check a majority of these, you may be wanting to look at getting your special education degree. Hint, hint, I want to see all of you again. And be able to teach this group of students who is gifted and highly talented. These students are found in all groups, okay? And I listed a few there, but they're everywhere. And they truly succeed in the classroom, and they are so fun to have. That last one, the challenging of topics and subjects, is sometimes fun, and it kind of puts you on your toes as an educator. There are some facts and definitions. So education of the gifted and talented began in 1972. And the biggest group, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on what I want to say here. The Jacob K. Javits Gifted and Talented is a word that you will hear when history is talked about this population. and that was in 1988. Please read that in your book. It talks more in depth about the Jacob K. Javits Gifted and Talented. Please, please, please read this within your book. Okay, and then of course the No Child Left Behind Act. Everyone, right? No child if they have the smarts that maybe other kids in your class don't have, maybe they struggle. The No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 truly reaches this population of students. Okay, so what I would have had you do in our classroom setting is we would look at the contemporary definitions and we would compare and contrast them. So in your textbook on these 3 pages, or 2 pages actually, 437 and 438, there's 3 different perspectives on the gifted and talented. So please look at those 3 and then truly compare and contrast if there are differences between these definitions that are on there. Now, if you look down here where I'm going to take you to, it is the state-by-state definition of gifted and talented students. Now, one thing that is very interesting, you go right here and you click on the state of South Dakota that we are currently in, nothing pops up. We do not have a state definition of gifted and talented. Let's check out our neighbors here. Minnesota has a definition under their law, right? It's all within their legal aspects. But this is Minnesota's, okay? South Dakota is one of the few states that has no definition, and it's crazy. Nebraska has a definition, okay, and each website looks a little bit different. But this will take you to the education websites of each state if they have a definition for this. So people around us have a definition for gifted and talented. South Dakota is one that does not. Don't ask me why. Okay. There are some characteristics of students who are gifted and talented. They oftentimes can take concepts and manipulate them so that they can see differences of opinions, and maybe relate a topic to something else that you would have never thought of, and it's absolutely fascinating. Oftentimes they can retain large amounts of information, data, numbers, etc., and they can just retain it forever. They can recall facts that are crazy that may have been not taught yet, but they are so far ahead of their age level that they're able to retain this information. They love to be curious, okay? They will use bigger words than the majority of your students in your classroom. That is okay. One thing I want you to think and look at right here is this area right here of perfectionism. Wow, I don't know what just happened here. I'm sorry. Let's see if I can get back. They are perfect. I'll keep talking. They want to be perfect, and sometimes this is a downfall because they will oftentimes have behaviors or they will shut completely down if they are not perfect. And we have to help create this environment for these students to let them know that they're not always going to be perfect, and that is okay. It is okay to fail. You can only grow in yourself, in your academics, if you truly fail at something. They will not like this, and you will have to almost put yourself out there to let them know that, you have failed and you still made it through. If they're interested in sports, if you look up famous athletes who were wonderful, and look at the failures that they had to go through so that they can see that it is okay, is huge. So you have to make those connections because they want to be perfect in everything they do, to let them know that it is okay to not be perfect. All students have strengths and weaknesses, even those who are gifted and talented, and that perfectionism could be a weakness in that population that you will serve. There's inter versus intra differences with students who have these gifted and talented. Okay, so inter, I want to connect it. So I'm giving you two different scenarios. So inter differences is two students earning different scores on the same test. Intra is one low and one high area, but yet in two different performances. So that goes along with that strengths and weaknesses. Your book does a really nice job of explaining it. So please dive into that a little bit more, but just know that there are those two. Your quiz will have information and a question on this inter versus intra. So just dive into that a little bit more individually. Okay. All right. So within Sioux Falls, they have Robert Frost Elementary. And if you click on both of these pages, it'll take you to different websites and give you a little bit more detail about the gifted and talented population in Sioux Falls. And then the other one will take you to the gifted and talented population within the state and how the state addresses this particular group. What we would have done in class is we would have had a class discussion first at your table, and then we would have talked about it as a whole. So what you found interesting about the information off of these two different websites. So there's one here at Robert Frost. If you click on that, it'll take you to a website. And then right here, it'll take you to another website. And then I would have asked you if there's anything concerning about what you read. There are some things that concern me, and I won't tell you what they are because I want you to go out and look at them. But there are some things that concern me about the information provided and how our state addresses the gifted and talented. But there is also some really, really good things that our state does as well. All right. This is another Wednesday seating. Please think about, I know I didn't get to do this with you, and some of them were so fun. But truly think about how you could use the seating arrangements within your classroom setting with your students in the area that you choose. You don't have to do it every week. Maybe it's like one time a month, so you have nine different seating arrangements. But truly think about a seating arrangement that you could create, as you will need that for your final quiz. You will have to create your own, I'm telling you one of the questions right now. You'll have to create your own Wacky Wednesday seating arrangement for the discipline that you plan on teaching in or grade level. All right, so there are some different teaching strategies to use with the gifted and talented population. They are fun, okay? I'm so sad we don't get to do this, but I would have split you up. I would have made you go with a different group, and you would have had one computer at your table, and I would have challenged you a little bit. So if you click on this picture right here, it takes you to a wonderful website. Breakout EDU is fantastic. It's an educational tool that you can use, and there's different digital games that you can play. And this one down here is by far my favorite. How many of you have gone to maybe like 605? There's one in Sioux Falls, but where you have to get all these locks unlocked before you can get out of the case, right? So this one is a digital breakout. And what I would have had you do in your groups is you would have clicked on this little website, and feel free, I'm not going to solve them for you, but I want you to go see how fast you can solve them. So it gives you 10 minutes to unlock all of the boxes. And you can click on different ones, okay? But you have to unlock all of the different boxes. So right up here it says red plus yellow plus blue, yellow plus blue. And then it would give you another window that you'd have to click on if you want. Otherwise, oh gosh. You go in here and it says select the colors in the sequence that you wish to open the lock. And then you have to have the right combination. I'm not going to show you what it is. But it will not unlock it. Watch, submit. Nope, not it. Try again. So you're trying to get out of the different lock boxes. And if you spend too much time on one, then you're not going to get to the rest of them. So if you can't get that one right away, and you want to go back to your other one, go to another one up here and see if you can figure out the directional lock. All your bags are packed. You're ready to go. You need to click on this to figure out the different directions that you need to open the lock. And I'll tell you, in the fall, I had a group that solved it with 8 seconds to spare, and they were the first group to do it, and it was absolutely fantastic. Challenge your students. You can create your own Breakout EDU platforms. You can make your own lockbox activities within your classroom setting. Locks are so easy to buy, and they're not very expensive, which is what we like as educators. And what's really cool is not only will your gifted and talented students probably be the leaders of these groups, your students who struggle within the class can also help, right? So maybe they're the kids that click on the different colors. Maybe they're the kids that are helping put the numbers in order. You can include all students on these different digital games, but it truly will force your students who are gifted and talented to try their skills. All right, so sad that we didn't get to play that one in class. Here we go. On to the next, okay? So we need to be more responsive to students who struggle to stay engaged in learning, and we must extend those who have unique and exceptional learning disabilities, okay? Gifted and talented children come from all walks of life. Giving them the chance to extend themselves within the public education system will result in all of our children being offered the opportunity to succeed. And I just really like that because we need to push all of our children, okay? There are different types of schoolings across everywhere. Some of you may have come from Harrisburg where everything is individualized. So it's almost like students have their own IEPs, but they don't, okay? But everyone is pushed differently. And that's really beneficial too for those students who are grade levels ahead of others, to have that opportunity to continue to progress through school. We have to differentiate the curriculum for students. We can make it project-based, problem-based, inquiry-based, make them create their own instruction, to think through different problems, and truly dive into their interest, okay, for these students who excel. I would like you to read pages 461 and 462, and this part of your book just talks about tips for you as you progress out into your classroom that first year. Let's say you have one student who is a GATE student within your classroom setting. These 2 pages will give you tips to help assist and assist the students who excel within your classroom. We would have shared a takeaway that would have been most helpful to you going forward after you've read this information. All right, so down here, Ditch That Textbook is another really cool website to work with students who are gifted and talented. And up here, I'm going to talk a little bit about Answer Charter School, because that's the school where I came. That was my first teaching experience. And it was an expeditionary learning school. And what was so cool is that we looped grade levels. So kindergarten was the only grade that was by itself. First and second grade students had the same teachers for 2 years. But what was really cool at each of these grade levels is they studied a particular topic and or 2 topics, which were set up as expeditions. And everything revolved around these expeditions. In kindergarten, which is what I taught in the morning, and then I was the special education teacher in the afternoon, we studied birds, and we studied them all year long, and it was fantastic. Everything was done out in the field. We went to a bird observatory. We went to the birds of prey site. We got to watch how they tracked birds. We hatched chickens within our classroom setting. We went on nature walks. We tied everything in to birds. And it really pushed those students to be well-versed children. And oftentimes our students, when they graduated from 8th grade, because we were a kindergarten through 8th grade school, oftentimes those kids who were going out to be freshmen in their high school settings in Boise were 2 grade levels ahead of the rest of their same age peers, just because of how our education was set up. We had to dive into our own information to pull curriculum together. We had a math curriculum that we followed, and that was it. So everything else we had to create on our own. It was a lot of work, but it was so unbelievably fun. Those 3 years that I taught at that school, I learned so much about myself as an educator. And I learned that you can truly do what you want in your classroom to push all of your students. Ditch That Textbook is fantastic, okay? And this takes you to another website of how to create a TikTok template with your students, right? Because TikTok is the big thing, and maybe you'll want to do this for your own, for a project that you have for another class in the upcoming semesters. But this just shows you how to create a TikTok, which will help students feel engaged within your classroom setting. I'm not going to go through each of these slides, but I want you to know that it does take you to figure out how to create a TikTok. Maybe it's a TikTok to have them present something within your classroom. You may use it however you wish. We're not going to Teachwell. Teachwell. I'm going to talk a little bit about Teachwell as we don't get to go there. However, Carrie is working on getting me a video clip. You all met Carrie when we went out to the Boys Ranch. But Teachwell is downtown, Sioux Falls, and it meets the needs of those struggling students who are unable to be out in the public school setting, but yet they come and go. So oftentimes they keep them there for a while. They teach them the behavior skills that they need to feel successful within their school district setting, and then they transition them back to their own personal school districts. So that being said, please read your chapter on Gifted and Talented and go complete your forum post. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday for our live chat.